What's up, everyone? Hope you're all doing great. Remember to laugh a little, it's good for the soul. Welcome back to Darkest Dark Web Horror Stories. I love reading your comments, so feel free to say hi, share suggestions, or just lurk. Don't forget to show your support by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already. And with that said, enjoy the stories. My head feels like it's been split open with a sledgehammer. The taste of copper floods my mouth as I force my eyes open, immediately regretting it as harsh fluorescent light stabs my retinas. Where the hell am I? The last thing I remember was walking to my car after my late shift at the hospital. Now I'm lying on cold concrete, surrounded by the stench of rot and decay. Hey, are you alive? A woman's voice cuts through my disorientation. As my vision clears, I see her, mid-30s, dressed in torn business attire, blood matting her blonde hair. She's crouched behind an overturned car, eyes wide with panic. "Get over here now, unless you want to be Zombie Chow," she hisses. Zombie Chow? What the fuck is she talking about? But then I hear it. The wet, gurgling moans coming from behind me. I turn my head slowly and holy shit, there they are. 3 things that used to be human, shuffling through the debris-strewn street. Their skin is gray and peeling, jaws hanging at unnatural angles, vacant eyes clouded over like dirty marbles. One of them is wearing a McDonald's uniform, its name tag still pinned to what's left of its chest. "Hi, I'm Steve." I scramble to my feet, ignoring the wave of nausea that hits me, and sprint to the woman's hiding spot. My heart's pounding so hard I think it might burst. "What the fuck is going on?" I whisper, trying not to puke. "Where are we?" "Downtown Detroit," she says. "Or what's left of it." "I'm Rachel. I woke up about an hour ago, just like you. There are others too. I've seen at least 5 more people in the same boat." Before I can respond, a scream rips through the air. About a block away, a man in a suit is running full tilt down the street, pursued by a pack of the walking dead. He doesn't see the tripwire. His foot catches it, and he goes down hard. The zombies are on him in seconds, and the sounds. Jesus Christ, the sounds. I want to look away, but I can't. That's when we notice the cameras. They're everywhere, mounted on buildings, streetlights, even fucking drones hovering above us. Each one has a blinking red light. "Welcome, contestants," a digitally distorted voice booms from hidden speakers. "You are now live on the internet's most exclusive pay-per-view event. Your mission is simple. Survive the next 48 hours in this specially prepared arena. Find the key to escape, and you win your freedom. Fail, and well, you've seen what happens." Rachel grabs my arm so hard it hurts. "Look," she whispers, pointing to a tablet that's appeared in a previously empty doorway. The screen shows a chat room, comments scrolling faster than I can read, but I catch glimpses. "Fresh meat. 50 BTC on the blonde dying first. Ripsuit guy lololol. Release more zombies." My stomach lurches as I realize the truth. We're not just fighting for our lives. We're entertainment for sick fucks on the dark web. And somewhere out there, someone's orchestrated this whole nightmare. "I'm Dr. Blaze Sterling," I tell Rachel, trying to keep my voice steady. "And I swear to God, we're going to find whoever's behind this and make them pay." A notification pings on the tablet. "First challenge begins in 10 minutes. Find weapons or find peace with your maker." This isn't a game. It's a fucking slaughterhouse, and we're the cattle. We didn't need 10 fucking minutes to know we had to move. Rachel and I crouched low, darting from car to car like rats in a maze. The moans of the dead followed us, mixed with that god-awful squelching sound their rotting feet made on the pavement. "There!" Rachel pointed to a sporting goods store, its windows somehow still intact. Weapons, supplies, maybe other people. A drone buzzed overhead, its camera focused on us like a giant mechanical eye. The chat notifications kept pinging on our tablet. "Go for the store, stupid bitches." "Zombies in there 100%. Now watch 2 others make it inside." "Boring, need more action." "Great. We were running straight into what these sick bastards wanted. But what choice did we have? The store's entrance was barricaded with shelving units. "Help us for fuck's sake!" Rachel shouted. After a tense moment, the barricade shifted just enough for us to squeeze through. Inside, 4 people had already claimed the space. A massive dude with tattoos covering his arms clutched a baseball bat. "I'm Marcus," he said, helping us secure the entrance. Ex-military, was working security at Ford Field when I got grabbed. A teenage girl, couldn't be more than 17, sat in the corner, hugging her knees. "Amy," she whispered. I was just walking home from band practice." Jesus Christ, they took a kid? The other 2 were a middle-aged couple, Michael and David. They owned a coffee shop in Ferndale. "We woke up together," Michael explained, his hand gripping David's. "At least they gave us that much." "7 of us now," Marcus said. "Saw 3 others get taken out already. 1 by zombies, 2 by these fucking traps they've got everywhere." The tablet pinged again. This time it wasn't chat messages, but a video. The person behind it all, the puppet master, had another message. The voice was still distorted, but I could hear the glee in it. "Contestants, time for your first real challenge. In 1 hour, poison gas will flood the streets. The antidote is in the pharmacy 6 blocks north. Only enough for 4 people, though. Better hurry." The chat exploded. "Finally. Battle Royale time, bitches. Kill the kid first. Dr. Bitch gonna try to save everyone, LOL. I felt their eyes on me. Of course. I'd introduced myself as Dr. Sterling. They expected me to have answers, to know what to do. But I'm just a pediatrician, for Christ's sake. I fix skinned knees and ear infections, not whatever the fuck this is. "We stick together," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "We get the antidote, then figure out how to get enough for everyone." Marcus nodded, but I saw the look he exchanged with Rachel. They were already calculating odds, sizing each other up. The puppet master knew exactly what they were doing, turning us against each other, making us doubt, making us fear. David squeezed Michael's hand harder. Amy wiped tears from her face. And somewhere in this concrete hell, more cameras watched. More viewers bet on our lives. And our tormentor laughed. We had 1 hour to prove we were still human. To prove we wouldn't become the monsters they wanted us to be. The tablet pinged one last time. Clock's ticking. Going outside was pure fucking chaos. Marcus took point with his bat. Rachel found a hockey stick and I grabbed a tennis racket. Better than nothing. Michael and David shared a golf club while Amy clutched a can of bear spray someone found in camping supplies. The streets had changed in just minutes. Green fog was already creeping from storm drains, and the zombies seemed more agitated, like they could smell what was coming. "Stay tight, move fast," Marcus barked, military training kicking in, but his eyes kept darting between us, probably wondering which 3 people he'd have to leave behind. We made it 2 blocks before everything went to shit. A drone swooped down, blasting what sounded like a car alarm. Instantly, dozens of rotting faces turned toward us. The chat fucking exploded. "Horde time. Rip losers. 50 BTC says half don't make it. Tear them apart. Run," Rachel screamed. But there was nowhere to run. They came from every direction. Business suits and hospital scrubs, police uniforms and McDonald's polos, all worn by things that used to be people. The stench of rotting flesh made me gag. Marcus swung his bat, crushing skulls. Rachel's hockey stick took out knees. I found out a tennis racket is fucking useless against the undead. Amy's bear spray, though, that shit worked wonders. But David slipped, went down hard on the pavement. Michael turned back for him. Of course he did. And that's when it happened. Rachel grabbed Amy's arm. "This way, shortcut." She pulled the teenager toward an alley, away from the others. I saw the look in her eyes. She'd made her choice about who deserved to survive. Like hell, I spat, running after them. Behind us, Marcus was yelling something, but his voice was drowned out by moans and the endless pinging of chat messages. The alley was clear, but Rachel had led us the wrong way. The pharmacy was in the opposite direction. When I called her out, she just smiled. "Who says I'm going to the pharmacy, Doc? Found something better." She pulled out a second tablet, one she'd been hiding. "Been tracking the drone signals. Control centers in the old auto plant. That's where the puppet master is." Amy jerked away from her. "But the gas! We'll die!" "Maybe," Rachel said. "Or maybe that's just another lie. Think about it. They want a show. Can't have one if we're all dead in an hour." She wasn't wrong. But Marcus, Michael, and David were still counting on us. Still heading for the pharmacy, probably thinking we'd meet them there. The green fog was getting thicker. My throat burned. The tablet lit up with a new message. "Ooh, someone's being clever. Let's raise the stakes. Release the special ones." A horrible screech echoed through the streets. Something fast, something wrong was coming. The chat went wild. "Hunters! Now it gets good. Bye-bye, smart-ass bitches. Tear them apart." I had to choose. Follow Rachel's insane plan to find the puppet master, or try to reach the pharmacy and save the others. Amy looked at me, terrified, waiting to see what I'd do. More screeches, getting closer, the sound of tearing metal and breaking glass. The clock was ticking, and I had to decide who to trust. The woman with a plan that might get us all killed, or the sadistic fuck running this game. Time's running out. The hunters are coming, and somewhere behind their screens, thousands of viewers lean forward, waiting to see what happens next. The first hunter came crashing through a second-story window in a shower of glass. This wasn't some shambling corpse. This thing moved like a fucking spider, all wrong angles and impossible speed. Its jaw was split 4 ways, lined with razor teeth, and someone had bolted metal plates to its exposed muscles. "Jesus fuck!" Rachel shoved Amy behind a dumpster. "These aren't normal zombies." "No shit." I watched in horror as the thing scuttled up a wall, its fingers leaving deep gouges in the brick. The chat was going insane. "Fuck yes, hunter time. Rip them apart, beautiful. Someone mod these IRL?" "More blood, more blood!" The hunter's head snapped toward us, and I saw the worst part. A camera was surgically embedded in its eye socket, streaming everything it saw. These weren't just monsters. They were fucking cameramen for this sick show. "The auto plant," Rachel gasped. "We have to end this now." She was right. Pharmacy or plant didn't matter anymore. These things would hunt us down either way. But Amy was hyperventilating, tears streaming down her face. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't do this." The hunter tensed, ready to pounce. But suddenly Marcus's voice boomed from the street. "Hey, ugly, fresh meat right here." The hunter's head whirled. Marcus stood there, bat covered in gore, Michael and David behind him with a fucking shopping cart full of... Were those propane tanks? "Get to the plant," Marcus roared. "We heard everything on the tablets. End this shit." Michael lit something and threw it. A Molotov cocktail made from vodka and a torn shirt. It hit the hunter dead on. The thing screamed, thrashing as it burned, its camera eye melting into slag. The chat lost its fucking mind. "Holy shit. Die, die, die. 7 hunter down." Daddy military man got moves. But more screeches echoed through the streets. The burning hunter had called its friends. "Go!" Marcus yelled. "We'll keep them busy. Make a path to the plant." Rachel grabbed my arm. "Blaze, we have to move, now!" "What about the gas?" Amy choked out. As if on cue, the tablet pinged. "Clever monkeys." Gas timer paused. "This is much more entertaining. Let's see who reaches their goal first." The puppet master was adapting, changing the rules. This was all a game to them. But they'd fucked up, shown they were watching everything, reacting in real time. They were close. We ran. Behind us, Explosions rocked the street as Marcus and the others threw their homemade bombs. The hunters screamed. The chat scrolled faster than ever, and the green fog started to fade, proof that everything about this game could be controlled. The auto plant loomed ahead, a mountain of rusted metal and broken dreams. Somewhere inside was the sick fuck behind all this. But as we got closer, I noticed something wrong with the building's shadows. They moved. They'd been waiting for us. Dozens of hunters crawling on the walls like insects, their camera eyes blinking red in the darkness. The tablet lit up one last time. Welcome to the final level. Try not to die too quickly. The auto plant's main entrance was a death trap. Too many hunters, too exposed. But Rachel spotted a maintenance door half hidden behind a rusted delivery truck. Of course, that's when Amy dropped the bombshell. "I know this place," she whispered. "My dad. He worked here before the layoffs, She swallowed hard. "There's a security office on the second floor. It controls all the cameras." The chat exploded with speculation. Plot twist. Band-girl knows too much. Daddy issues content gold. Calling it, she's working for Puppet Master. Rachel's eyes narrowed. "You didn't think to mention this earlier?" "Fuck off," I snapped. "She's a scared kid, not your personal GPS." A hunter's screech cut through our argument. They were getting closer, moving in complex patterns like a pack of predators. These things hunted together, learned, adapted. We slipped through the maintenance door into darkness that stank of oil and rust. Amy led us through a maze of abandoned assembly lines, massive machines looming like prehistoric skeletons. Every shadow could hide death. Every sound could be our last warning. The tablet pinged. Family reunion time. Bet Amy's daddy would be proud if he wasn't one of my pets now. Amy stopped cold. No, they're lying. But we all heard it. The distinctive sound of metal scraping on metal. A hunter emerged from behind a forklift, bigger than the others. Its work uniform was shredded, but the name tag was clear. Robert Miller, shift supervisor. "Dad?" Amy's voice cracked. The thing that used to be Robert Miller cocked its head, camera eye focusing on its daughter. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered in its remaining human eye. Then it lunged. Rachel tackled Amy out of the way. I swung a pipe I'd grabbed, connecting with Robert's jaw. It felt like hitting concrete. The hunter stumbled, but didn't fall. Worse, the noise attracted others. "Up! Get up the fucking stairs!" Rachel dragged Amy, who couldn't stop screaming. Robert followed, moving like a broken marionette, metal plates grinding with each step. The security office was a fortress of bulletproof glass and steel doors, and it wasn't empty. Monitors covered every wall, showing different parts of the city-turned arena. Cables snaked across the floor like mechanical veins, all leading to a central setup of servers and computers. And there, bathed in the blue glow of screens, sat our puppet master. She couldn't have been more than 25. Pretty, in a college yearbook kind of way. She turned to us with a smile that never reached her eyes. "Welcome to my channel. I'm username Mako, and you've all been amazing content." The chat went absolutely apeshit. "Queen. It's really her. Legendary streamer. Worth every Bitcoin." Robert Miller's hunter form slammed against the security glass. His daughter sobbed, and our tormentor just kept smiling, like this was all some kind of sick family reunion. "Now," she said, "let's give them a proper finale." Username Mako swiveled in her chair like this was just another day at the office. You know what the hardest part was? Not the zombies, not even the hunters. It was finding the right people, the perfect cast. She clicked something on her keyboard. Robert Miller's hunter form stopped attacking the glass, standing eerily still. Every screen showed a different angle of us, prey caught in a digital web. A traumatized teenager and her zombified daddy issues, a doctor with a hero complex, a ruthless survivor willing to sacrifice others. You're all so perfectly fucked up. The chat scrolled endlessly. Content queen. Expose them all. Psychological warfare, yes. Worth every Satoshi. Rachel stepped forward. You did all this for views? Money? Mako laughed. Money? Please. I have enough crypto to buy a small country. This is about evolution. Entertainment is changing. People don't want fake violence anymore. They want real stakes, real pain, A massive explosion rocked the building. Through the monitors, we saw Marcus, Michael, and David driving a fucking fuel truck straight through the hunter horde. Your show's getting canceled, bitch. Marcus's voice crackled through the speakers. Mako's smile finally cracked. She slammed her hand on a red button. Kill protocol activated. All hunters converge. No one leaves. But Amy had been quiet too long. While everyone watched the screens, she'd found her way to a circuit breaker. One look at her face and I knew. This wasn't just a scared kid anymore. Dad maintained these systems, she said, voice ice cold. Taught me everything about them, including this. She pulled the master switch. Every light died. Every screen went dark. And somewhere in the darkness, Robert Miller's hunter form moved with purpose. Not toward Amy, but toward the woman who'd turned him into a monster. No, no, no! Mako scrambled for her phone, trying to restore power. Do you know how much Bitcoin I'll lose? How many followers? The chat's last messages flashed before the tablets died. TF happening. Don't you dare cut the feed. Riot if no ending. Best show ever. In the dark, we heard metal scraping on metal. A camera eye glowing red. A scream cut short. When emergency lights finally sputtered on, username Mako was gone. All that remained was a spreading pool of blood and drag marks leading to a ventilation shaft. Jesus, Rachel whispered. What now? The building shook again. Marcus and the others were still fighting below, and somewhere in the ducts above us, a father was teaching his daughter's tormentor about real pain. Amy stared at the blood on the floor. We finished this. All of it. The ventilation shaft echoed with screams and the sound of tearing metal. Whatever final conversation Robert Miller was having with username Mako, it wasn't meant for TikTok. We need to end this, Rachel said, frantically working at Mako's computers. The hunters, the zombies, they're all controlled from here. There has to be a kill switch. The building rocked with another explosion. On the few emergency monitors still working, we saw Marcus and the others fighting their way up, floor by floor. But they were running out of weapons, out of energy, out of time. Got it! Rachel's fingers flew across keyboards. But fuck! It needs Mako's biometric scan, eye and handprint. Amy stared at the ventilation shaft. Then we get them. I grabbed her arm. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Her voice was steel. That bitch turned my father into a monster for likes and Bitcoin. I'm ending this. The shaft led us to the roof. December wind cut through our clothes like razor blades. And there they were. Robert's hunter form had Mako cornered against an ancient water tower. She was bloody but still breathing. Her perfect streamer aesthetic shredded along with half her face. When she saw us, she started laughing. You still don't get it, do you? There's no off switch, no way to undo what I've created. The code, the virus that makes the hunters, it's already out there. Other streamers are buying it. This is just the beginning. Robert lunged. Mako rolled, pulling something from her jacket. A dead man's switch. Kill me and the whole building goes up. All those precious viewers will get their finale. Everything happened at once. Amy screamed, Dad, wait! Rachel dove for the switch. I grabbed a piece of broken pipe. Robert's hunter form hesitated, recognition fighting through programming. And in that moment of chaos, of choices, we all learned who we really were. I swung the pipe. Mako went down hard but breathing. Rachel got the switch. Amy ran to her father, who stood shaking like a man waking from a nightmare. The scanners, Rachel gasped. Get her downstairs, now! We dragged our puppet master back to her control room. Marcus and the others had made it. Bloody, exhausted, but alive. David was holding Michael up, both looking like they'd been through hell. Do it, Amy said as we forced Mako's eye open, pressed her hand to the scanner. End it. The system recognized its master. Across the city, hunters collapsed like puppets with cut strings. Zombies fell where they stood, and every screen displayed the same message. System purge initiated, deleting all files. Mako screamed, not in pain now, but despair. My followers, my content, you can't. Watch us, Rachel snarled and hit enter. Everything. The footage, the code, the whole sick game began disappearing into digital oblivion. Somewhere out there, thousands of viewers screamed into the void as their screens went dark. Robert Miller's hunter implants sparked and died, leaving him human again. Broken, changed, but human. Amy held him as he cried. Marcus handcuffed Mako. Police will be here soon, real ones. If they believe us, Michael said. I looked at the empty screens, the dead hunters, the bleeding puppet master. They'll believe us. And if they don't, Rachel held up a single tablet. I kept receipts, just enough to prove what happened, not enough to let someone copy it. Dawn broke over Detroit. We'd survived the night, the game, the stream from hell. But we all knew the truth. Somewhere out there, someone was watching and thinking, I can do it better. The dark web never sleeps, and the next game is always loading. I never thought I'd find myself browsing the dark web after the world went to shit, but here I am, huddled in a basement with my laptop, trying to ignore the endless moaning from the streets above. The power's still on. Thank fuck for nuclear plants running on skeleton crews. My fingers hover over the keyboard as I scroll through another marketplace, looking for supplies, medicine, anything to keep our little group alive. That's when I see it. A listing that makes my blood run cold. Specimen NAR 274. Confirmed pregnant female. 3rd trimester, fully animated. Bidding starts at 500 BTC. Below it, a video thumbnail shows a woman. No, a thing that used to be a woman. Strapped to a medical table. Her belly is distended, moving in ways that make me want to puke. But it's her face that haunts me. Even through the rot and decay, there's something still human in those clouded eyes. Holy shit, Marcus, get over here! I call out to my best friend, who's been with me since this nightmare began 6 months ago. Marcus limps over, still favoring his right leg from our last supply run. What's up, Jake? He leans in, squinting at my screen. Jesus fucking Christ. We stare at the listing, reading the details. The seller calls themselves Collector Prime and has other specimens for sale too. Each one more fucked up than the last. Zombies with rare mutations, ones that show signs of intelligence, even child zombies. That last one makes me slam my laptop shut. We have to do something, I say, already knowing how insane it sounds. These sick fucks are treating them like animals. Marcus runs a hand through his greasy hair. They're not people anymore, Jake. You know that. Look at this shit. I open the laptop again, clicking through the listings. They're running actual fucking auctions. Live streams where rich assholes bid on them like they're at Christie's or some shit. There's an auction house. Holy fuck, it's in Pittsburgh. That's only 50 miles from here. I pull up the details. The place used to be some fancy art gallery in the Strip District. Now it's where these collectors gather to bid on their specimens in person. The next auction is in 3 days. You're not seriously thinking what I think you're thinking, Marcus says, but I can see it in his eyes. That same fire that's kept us alive this long. I start typing out a message to Collector Prime, using my best wannabe rich asshole voice. Interested in multiple acquisitions. Request invitation to next live auction. Significant resources available. Jake, this is suicide, Marcus warns, but he's already checking his rifle. These people, they're not just rich assholes. They're organized. They've got security, infrastructure. Hell, They've got enough pull to keep the fucking internet running in their little corner of the world. Yeah, I say, hitting send on the message. And they've got Coralie. Marcus freezes. What? I point to another listing. Specimen number 271. Female 20s, unique genetic resistance. Captured Penn Hills area. The thumbnail shows a face we both know too well. Coralie, Marcus's sister, who disappeared during a supply run 2 weeks ago. We thought she was dead. Turns out something way worse happened to her. I'm in, Marcus says, his voice hard. But we're gonna need help. I nod, already making a mental list of who in our group might be crazy enough to join us. 3 days. We've got 3 days to plan, and 1 shot to get this right. A notification pops up on my screen. Collector Prime has responded. Invitation approved. Coordinates and security protocols to follow. Welcome to the Dark Lot. I feel sick, excited, and terrified all at once. We're really doing this. We're going to infiltrate an auction house full of rich psychopaths who collect zombies like they're fucking Pokemon cards. And if we screw this up, we won't just die. We'll become part of someone's private collection. You'd be amazed what people will do for a few cans of food and some ammo. Our little group had grown to about 30 survivors holed up in an old Planet Fitness. All those heavy weights make pretty good barricades. When I brought up my plan to the core group, I expected them to call me crazy. Instead, 5 of them volunteered. These rich fuckers have been living it up while we eat expired protein bars, says Rosa, our resident ex-cop. She's cleaning her Glock with practiced precision. About time someone crashed their party. Rosa's got that 1,000-yard stare these days. She had to put down her entire precinct when they turned. Sometimes I hear her talking to them in her sleep. I've got building plans, pipes up Devin, tapping away at his tablet. Kid's barely 20, but he's kept our generators running and our comms working. The gallery's got 3 floors above ground, 2 below. High-end security system, but it's tied to the power grid I'm already monitoring. I look around our planning table. Really just a few gym benches pushed together. Besides Rosa and Devin, we've got Big Mike, former bouncer, built like a tank. Ling, trauma surgeon, which comes in handy way too often. And Carter, who nobody talks about what he did before, but he knows way too much about explosives. The invitation came through, I tell them, spreading out the printed details. Auction starts at 8 p.m. They're sending a transport. Apparently walking through zombie-infested streets in fancy clothes isn't their style. Fancy clothes? Big Mike raises an eyebrow. Where the fuck we gonna get those? Marcus grins and tosses a set of keys on the table. Mall's only 5 miles away. Those department stores still got plenty of stock if you don't mind fighting off a few shoppers who took lifetime guarantee too seriously. This is the security protocol, I continue, pointing to the details. They're checking for weapons at the door, but get this. Everyone's required to carry personal protection. Their rules say exactly what's allowed. 1 sidearm, no more than 2 spare mags. Armed rich people watching zombie cage matches, Carter mutters. What could go wrong? Ling speaks up for the first time. She's been studying the photos of the specimens I printed out. These containment protocols, they're using modified medical equipment. Somebody there knows what they're doing. These aren't just rich idiots playing with zombies. That's why we need you in there, I tell her. If Coralie's, I glance at Marcus, who's gone rigid. If any of them can be saved, you'll know what to do. And if they can't? Rosa asks the question nobody wants to voice. Then we make sure nobody else ends up in those cages, Marcus says flatly. One way or another, this place burns. The next 2 days are a blur of preparation. Devin works his magic getting us registered under fake identities. Apparently, even apocalyptic dark web auctions need paperwork. Rosa and Carter scout the perimeter, mapping zombie hordes and security patrols. Big Mike and Marcus do the mall run, coming back with suits and dresses that almost hide our weapons. The hard part is the money. These people deal in cryptocurrency, and lucky for us, Devin had been mining Bitcoin as a hobby before everything went to hell. His hard drives are worth a fortune now, enough to get us in the door at least. On the last night before the auction, I find Marcus alone on the roof, staring at the city. The fires that burned during the first months have died down, leaving Pittsburgh in darkness, except for a few powered zones, little islands of electricity where the wealthy hide from the apocalypse. We're probably going to die tomorrow, he says without turning around. Probably, I agree, joining him at the railing. But if we don't try, I know. He pulls out a photo, worn and creased. Coralie's smiling in it from before. You know what the worst part is? Part of me hopes we find her dead. Really dead, not... He can't finish the sentence. I put a hand on his shoulder, feeling the tension there. Whatever we find in there, we deal with it together. Below us, a zombie crashes into a dumpster, setting off a chorus of moans from the darkness. Tomorrow, we go from scavenging survivors to infiltrating the darkest corner of what's left of civilization. We've got fake IDs, stolen clothes, guns we're not supposed to have, and a plan that'll probably get us all killed. But we also have something these rich fucks don't. Nothing left to lose. The transport turns out to be a fucking Hummer limo of all things. It rolls up to our meeting point like some ghost from the old world. All black armor plating and tinted windows. The driver's wearing honest-to-God night vision goggles, weaving around abandoned cars and scattered corpses like it's just another Saturday night fair. Sir, he says, tipping his cap as he opens the door. Real professional, like the world isn't a giant graveyard. Collector Prime welcomes you to the dark lot. Inside, the limo's been retrofitted with gun racks and medical equipment. There's even a minibar stocked with top-shelf liquor. 6 other passengers are already seated, other buyers heading to the auction. They eye our group with barely concealed suspicion. Harrison Blake, I introduce myself using my fake identity. And associates. A fat man in an expensive suit raises his glass. First time at the lot? His breath stinks of expensive scotch. You're in for a treat. Tonight's catalog is, exceptional. Marcus's hand twitches toward his gun. I shake my head slightly. Not yet. The drive takes 20 minutes. Through the bulletproof glass, I watch zombies bounce off the armored hull. The limo doesn't even slow down. Finally, we turn into the Strip District, and I get my first look at the dark lot. The old gallery's been transformed. Spotlights sweep the perimeter, where armed guards patrol behind electric fences. The building itself looks like a fortress now, all steel shutters and reinforced concrete. But it's what's in the loading bay that makes my stomach turn. They're unloading merchandise. Steel containers like modified coffins with viewing windows are being wheeled in on dollies. Inside each one, I catch glimpses of pale flesh and desperate movement. One container holds what used to be a man in a business suit. His skin's a weird grayish blue, and there's something wrong with his eyes. They follow us as we pass, too intelligent, too aware. Specimen number 267, the fat man comments like he's reading a fucking wine list. Azure strain, very rare. The pigmentation alone makes it worth 6 figures. The limo stops at a private entrance. More guards, these ones in tactical gear, run detection wands over us. They find our registered weapons. Exactly what's allowed, nothing more. Devin's good at his job. Welcome to the dark lot. A hostess greets us inside. She's wearing a red cocktail dress and a sidearm in a designer holster. The preview begins in 30 minutes. Please enjoy our hospitality. The main gallery's been converted into some kind of twisted cocktail lounge. Crystal chandeliers hang over leather sofas, while waiters circulate with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. The walls are lined with flat-screen monitors showing previews of tonight's lots. Split up, I mutter. Find the holding area. Our team dissolves into the crowd. These people, they're laughing, drinking, talking about their collections like they're showing off fancy cars or paintings. A woman in diamonds is bragging about her matching set of child specimens. I grip my champagne glass so hard it nearly shatters. "Ladies and gentlemen," a voice booms over hidden speakers. "The preview will begin momentarily. Please make your way to the viewing floor." The crowd moves toward a massive elevator. I end up next to an older man in a military uniform covered in medals. "Beautiful facility, isn't it?" he says conversationally. "Much better than the Singapore location." "Oh?" I try to keep my voice casual. "How many locations are there?" He laughs. "New collector, eh? Don't worry, you'll learn. Though I suggest starting small. Leave the premium lots to those of us with experience." The elevator descends. The temperature drops with each floor. When the doors open, I realize why. It's a fucking showroom. Climate-controlled display cases line the walls, each one containing a horror. Some specimens are strapped to medical tables. Others pace in reinforced cells. All of them are tagged with lot numbers and starting bids. And there, in cell number 271, is Coralie. She's strapped to a chair, electrodes attached to her temples. Her skin's pale but not rotted. Her eyes alert but unfocused. Some kind of IV drips clear fluid into her arm. Magnificent, isn't she? A smooth voice behind me makes me jump. A tall man in a white suit extends his hand. "I'm Collector Prime, and you must be Harrison Blake." I shake his hand, fighting the urge to put a bullet in his head right there. "Quite a collection you have here." He smiles like a shark. "Oh, Mr. Blake, you haven't seen anything yet. The real treasures are in the lab. Would you like a private tour?" Over his shoulder, I see Rosa moving into position. Marcus is by the emergency exit. Devon's near the control panel. "I'd love one," I say, following him deeper into this house of horrors. Behind us, the auction's first lot is announced. "Ladies and gentlemen, bidding will begin for specimen NAR 267. Collector Prime's private tour takes us down a sterile white hallway that wouldn't look out of place in a high-end hospital. Except hospitals don't usually have reinforced blast doors every 20 feet. Or blood drains in the floor. "My colleagues call this work unethical," he says, punching in a key code. "But ethics died with the old world, wouldn't you agree?" I grunt non-committally, counting doors, mapping routes. My earpiece crackles silently. Devon signaled that he's in position at the security hub. One guard down, quietly. The first lab contains what looks like medical equipment, but all wrong. Surgical tables with extra restraints. Monitoring equipment jury-rigged to deliver massive electrical charges. And the smells. Antiseptic trying to cover rot and something worse. "This is where we process new acquisitions," Collector Prime explains like he's giving a fucking TED Talk. "The initial transformation period is crucial for preservation." A scientist in a blood-stained lab coat nods to us as we pass. He's dissecting something on a table. I force myself not to look too closely. "Our current focus is on genetic resistance," Collector Prime continues. "Specimens like No 271. Your sister, isn't she, Mr. Marcus Walsh?" Everything stops. My heart, my breath, time itself. He turns. That shark smile wider now. "Did you really think we wouldn't run facial recognition? That we don't monitor every dark web access point? Please, we've been waiting for you." Alarms blare, red lights strobe. Through my earpiece, I hear gunfire and Rosa cursing in Spanish. I draw my gun, but Collector Prime's faster. His hand cannon looks like it could stop a truck. "The thing is, Mr. Walsh, we needed you to come. Your sister's immunity is genetic, after all. Having a matched set would be invaluable." "Fuck you!" I spit, and dive behind a metal table as he fires. The round punches through steel like it's cardboard. All hell breaks loose upstairs. Through the earpiece, I hear Big Mike bellowing. More gunfire, breaking glass. Then Ling's voice. "Jake, they're releasing specimens. The containment units are static. Collector Prime's laugh echoes off the walls. Your little rescue team is about to become part of a rather unique experiment. How will they handle facing their own merchandise? I scramble between tables as he fires again. Something warm and wet splashes my face. Someone's experiment, now ruined. They're people, you sick fuck. They're the future. His voice rises with genuine excitement. Don't you see? We're not collecting zombies. We're curating the next stage of human evolution. A different alarm sounds. Devin's voice cuts through the chaos. Containers are opening on all levels. Coralie's loose. Repeat. Coralie's. The line goes dead. I peek around a centrifuge. Collector Prime's reloading, still talking. The specimen you knew as Coralie was merely stage 1. Wait until you see what she's becoming. Movement behind him. A figure in a torn hospital gown, moving too fast, too smoothly for a normal zombie. Coralie? No, its face is wrong, twisted, hungry in a way that's not just mindless infection. Our modifications are really quite... Collector Prime's monologue cuts off in a gurgle as enhanced zombie teeth tear into his throat. His gun blasts twice more, hitting nothing. I run. Behind me, screams and gunfire mix with the sound of feeding. The hallway's chaos. Guards firing at escaped specimens. Rich assholes in designer suits being dragged down by their merchandise. Blood makes the floor slick. Marcus! I scream into my earpiece. Status! His voice comes back broken, panting. Lower level. Fuck, these things are fast. Found her, Jake. Found Coralie. She's... different. Different how? A new sound cuts through the mayhem. Not quite human, not quite zombie. A howl that raises every hair on my body. You're about to find out, Marcus says. That howl echoes through the halls again. Closer now. It sounds like pain. Like rage. Like something that should never have existed. I sprint past fallen guards and feeding zombies, ducking under sparking lights. The facility's emergency systems are failing. Devin's last gift to this hellhole. Through my earpiece, I hear scattered voices. Exits blocked. They're hurting us. Jesus Christ, look at its eyes. A bloody hand grabs my ankle. It's the fat man from the limo, half his face missing. Please, he gurgles. My collection. Worth millions. A zombie in an expensive suit drags him back into a dark doorway. Karma's a bitch. I find Marcus in what used to be the main auction floor. The fancy chairs are overturned, the screens cracked and sparking. Big Mike's holding the main door, his shotgun booming in the confined space. Carter's rigging something with wires and what looks like plastic explosive. And there, in the center of the room, is Coralie. Fuck, she's still wearing the hospital gown, now soaked red. Her skin's pale but not rotted, stretched tight over muscles that shouldn't be that defined. Her movements are wrong. Too fast, too precise. Like someone rebuilt a human body without quite understanding how it should work. Coralie? Marcus takes a step forward. Sis? Her head snaps toward his voice. Those eyes, they're not clouded like normal zombies. They're too bright, too aware. Tears of blood run down her cheeks. Marcus, she says, and her voice is broken glass. It hurts. They made me. Made us better. More specimens emerge from the shadows. All like her. Not quite zombie. Not quite human. The failed experiments. The ones that work too well. Collector Prime's evolution. We can help, Marcus says, holstering his gun. Lincoln. No. Coralie's scream is that same howl from before. Can't go back. Can't be weak again. They made us strong. Made us hungry. The other specimens move closer. Their eyes are all like Coralie's. Bright with that terrible awareness. Some of them are crying blood too. The rich ones, Coralie hisses. The ones who bought us. Who watched us change. They taste different. Better. You should try. She takes a step toward Marcus. Coralie, please. Marcus's voice breaks. Remember who you are. For a moment, something flickers in those two bright eyes. Used to. Play soccer. You taught me. Bicycle kicks. That's right. Marcus inches closer. Remember that time I crashed Dad's car and you covered for me? Coralie clutches her head. Stop! Hurts to remember. Easier to... The other specimens are getting closer. Big Mike's shotgun is running dry. Through my earpiece, I hear Rosa shouting that more are coming up from the labs. Carter? I ask quietly. 2 minutes, he mutters, still working with the wires. Coralie looks at me now. Jake, you used to make pancakes Sunday mornings. Still do, I tell her. Worst pancakes ever, remember? Always burned. She laughs, and for a second she sounds almost human. Then her face contorts. No, can't remember. Can't be weak. We are the next step. We are... My sister, Marcus says and opens his arms. Coralie moves faster than anything should move. One moment she's 10 feet away. The next she's in Marcus's arms, crying blood onto his stolen suit. It hurts, she sobs, and make it stop. Please, Marcus, make it stop. Okay, he whispers, and drives his knife up under her ribs into her heart. Okay, baby sister, it's okay. Coralie shudders once and goes still. The other specimens howl. That same sound of rage and pain and loss. Carter, I ask again. Done. 30 seconds, run. We run. Behind us, the specimens give chase, howling their dead sister's pain. We reach the elevator just as the first explosion rocks the building. The elevator's dead. Of course it is. We take the stairs, Carter's explosions walking down the building behind us. Each blast shakes loose concrete dust and decades-old paint. Marcus is still carrying Coralie's body. Leave her, Big Mike pants, reloading his shotgun on the run. She'll slow us down. Marcus just gives him a look. The kind that ends conversations. The stairs exit into the lobby, where Rosa and Ling are holding off a mix of guards and specimens with precise headshots. Rosa's bleeding from a shoulder wound. Ling's medical bag is empty, bloody handprints smeared across her white coat. Devin, I ask. Rosa shakes her head. Specimens got into the security hub. He bought us time. Fuck, the kid was 23. The building groans above us. Carter's charges are doing their job, bringing down floor after floor. But the noise is attracting every zombie in the Strip District. Regular shamblers mix with escaped specimens outside the shattered lobby windows. Back entrance, Ling says, slapping a fresh mag into her pistol. Through the loading bay, I saw trucks. A specimen crashes through the ceiling, landing in a crouch. It's the scientist from the lab, now more monster than man. His coat's still stained with old blood, but new blood runs from his eyes. The data, he growls, fingers elongating into claws. Years of research. You've destroyed years of... Rosa puts 2 rounds through his skull. Less talking, more running. We make it to the loading bay. 3 supply trucks idle there, engines running. Emergency protocols. Always have an escape route. Thank God for rich bastards and their contingency plans. You drive, I tell Big Mike, tossing him keys from a dead guard. Rosa, Ling, take the second truck, Carter. I'll cover R6, Carter says, already pulling more explosives from his bag. Been saving something special for the road. The ceiling comes down between us before I can argue. Through the dust and debris, I hear Carter laugh. Been fun, folks. Make it count. Marcus finally lays Coralie's body in the truck bed, covering her with a tarp. His hands shake. His eyes don't. We drive. Behind us, Carter's something special lights up the night. The blast takes out the loading bay, the remaining specimens, and half the zombies converging on the building. Through the rearview mirror, I watch the dark lot collapse in on itself, like a dying star. Stop, Marcus says suddenly. Stop the truck. Are you crazy? We're not... Stop the fucking truck. Big Mike hits the brakes. Marcus jumps out, runs to the back. I follow him. Coralie's body is convulsing under the tarp. No, Marcus whispers. No. Her eyes open. They're not bright anymore. Just normal, clouded zombie eyes. The evolution. or whatever they did to her, died with her. But the infection never dies. She lunges at Marcus. I raise my gun. Don't, he says. Marcus, she's my sister. Coralie's teeth snap inches from his face. Her movements are normal zombie slow now. No more superhuman speed. No more tears of blood. Just hunger. Marcus holds her at arm's length. I got this, he says softly. Go check on the others. I back away. Behind me, I hear him talking to her quietly, telling her about soccer games and bicycle kicks and all the things she used to be. Then a single gunshot. We're back at the Planet Fitness now. Been 3 days since the dark lot burned. 3 days since we lost Devin and Carter. Since Marcus had to kill his sister twice. The news spread through the dark web like wildfire. Other facilities going dark. Rich collectors going underground. Somewhere out there, people with too much money are already planning to start over, to build new auction houses, to continue their research. But we hurt them, and we're not done. Devin didn't die for nothing in that security hub. Kid downloaded everything. Research files, client lists, facility locations. Last gift to us before the specimens got him. We've been going through it all, trying to make sense of what they were doing. Look at this, Ling says, pointing to her laptop screen. She hasn't slept much. None of us have. They were trying to control the evolution of the virus, create a perfect balance between zombie and human. The specimens like Coralie, they were the closest they'd come. How many facilities? Rosa asks. Her shoulders healing, but she's keeping her gun hand busy, cleaning weapons we scavenged from the raid. 6 confirmed, maybe more. I scroll through Devin's files. Singapore, like that military guy said. Another in Dubai, underground lab in Moscow. They're all connected, all feeding research to each other. Then we burn them all. Marcus speaks for the first time in days. He's been sitting in the corner, cleaning his gun, taking it apart and putting it back together. Over and over and over. It's suicide, Big Mike says, but there's no conviction in his voice. We're already dead, Marcus replies. Have been since this whole thing started. Might as well make it mean something. He's right, we all know it. The world ended once already. What's left to lose? I go back to my laptop, to the dark web where this all started. But this time, I'm not looking to buy. I'm sending messages, finding others like us. Survivors who've lost too much, who've got nothing left but revenge and the will to make things right. Turns out we're not alone. Messages come back from other cities, other countries. People who've seen the auctions, lost loved ones to collectors, soldiers, doctors, hackers. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a reason to fight. They'll be ready for us now, Rosa warns. Better security, better weapons. Good, Marcus says. He finally stops cleaning his gun, loads it with practiced precision. I want them to see us coming. I look around at what's left of our team, at the maps spread out on the gym floor, marking other facilities, at the weapons and supplies we're gathering, at the growing list of survivors ready to join us. They thought the apocalypse was their opportunity, I say. Time to show them it's ours. Outside, the city groans with its endless hunger. But for the first time since this all started, the sound doesn't fill me with dread. The monsters aren't the dead ones shambling through the streets. The real monsters hide in fortified buildings, buying and selling people like trading cards, playing with evolution like it's their personal science kit. We're going to find them all. Coralie's dog tags clink against my laptop as I type out another message. Marcus gave them to me before we left the dark lot. Said he couldn't keep them, couldn't look at them, but couldn't throw them away either. So I wear them to remember what we lost, what we're fighting for. On the dark web, a new listing appears. But this one's different. Attention collectors, your auctions are over. Your labs are next. You can't hide behind your money anymore. We are coming. I hit send and close my laptop. Tomorrow we start planning our next raid. Tomorrow we find more survivors, gather more weapons, study more files. But tonight I think I'll make some pancakes, burn them like always. Some things even the apocalypse can't change. In the filthy, shadowed corners of what used to be New York City, we huddled together, a ragtag group of survivors. The world had gone to shit, and we were the leftovers, the scraps that hadn't been chewed up by the zombie apocalypse. We'd seen it all, the undead shuffling through the streets, the desperate fights for survival, the endless nights of terror. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared us for what we found that night. It started with a whisper. A rumor passed around the campfire. Someone had stumbled upon a hidden corner of the dark web, a place where the rich and twisted could hire zombies to take out their enemies. It sounded like a sick joke, but in this fucked up world, anything was possible. We gathered around an old laptop, its screen flickering with the dim light of a dying battery. The air was thick with tension as we clicked through the layers of encryption, each one peeling back like the skin of an onion. Finally, we reached it, the hit list. Names, faces, and bounties, all laid out like a twisted menu. Jesus Christ, muttered Jake, his eyes wide with disbelief. This is real. I nodded, my stomach churning. We need to do something. We can't let this stand. Lisa, always the voice of reason, spoke up. We need to find out who's behind this. If we can take them down, maybe we can stop the hits. We all agreed. It was a long shot, but in a world where hope was a rare commodity, we clung to it like a lifeline. We spent the night poring over the hit list, memorizing names and faces, trying to piece together the puzzle. As dawn broke, we had a plan. We would split up, each taking a different lead. Jake would head to the old financial district, where the rich and powerful still held court. Lisa would go to the docks, where rumors of a secret lab had been circulating. I would stay behind, coordinating our efforts and keeping an eye on the hit list. As they left, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. We were playing with fire, and if we weren't careful, we'd all get burned. But we had to try. For the sake of the targets, for the sake of humanity, we had to stop this madness. Jake's journey to the financial district was a treacherous one. The streets were littered with the remnants of a once thriving city, abandoned cars, shattered windows, and the ever-present stench of decay. He moved cautiously, his eyes darting from shadow to shadow, always on the lookout for the undead. The financial district was a ghost town, the towering skyscrapers standing like silent sentinels over the ruined city. Jake made his way to the heart of it all, the old stock exchange building. It was said that the rich and powerful still gathered there, conducting their twisted business in the shadows. As he approached the building, he noticed something strange. The doors were guarded, not by the usual thugs, but by zombies. They stood there, motionless, their eyes glazed over, but their bodies strangely alert. It was as if they were being controlled, puppets on a string. Jake hesitated, his mind racing. How the hell was he supposed to get past them? He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. He had to find out who was behind the hit list, and this was his best lead. He circled the building, looking for another way in. After what felt like hours, he found it, a narrow alleyway leading to a fire escape. He climbed quickly, his heart pounding in his chest. As he reached the top, he peered through a cracked window, his breath catching in his throat. Inside, he saw them, the elite, the ones who had orchestrated this twisted game. They sat around a long table, their faces illuminated by the glow of laptop screens. Jake listened, his ears straining to catch every word. They were discussing the hit list, laughing about the bounties and the targets. It was sickening. Jake knew he had to act fast. He couldn't take them all down alone, but he could gather evidence. He pulled out his camera, snapping photos of the faces, the laptops, everything. As he turned to leave, he heard a noise behind him. He froze, his heart in his throat. A zombie stood there, its eyes locked on him. Jake's hand went to his gun, but he knew it was too late. The zombie lunged, and Jake braced himself for the impact. But instead of tearing into him, the zombie grabbed him, its grip like a vice. It dragged him back into the room, and Jake knew he was in deep shit. Lisa's journey to the docks was no less harrowing. The waterfront was a maze of rusted ships and decaying warehouses, the air thick with the stench of rotting fish and something far more sinister. She moved silently, her senses on high alert. The rumors of a secret lab had been circulating for weeks. It was said that the zombies were being created there, their minds controlled by some twisted science. Lisa had to find out if it was true. If they could shut down the lab, they could cut off the supply of zombie assassins. As she approached the docks, she saw it, a nondescript warehouse, its windows blacked out. She slipped inside, her heart pounding. The interior was dimly lit, the air filled with the hum of machinery. She crept forward, her eyes scanning the shadows. She found the lab tucked away in a corner, hidden behind a heavy steel door. Inside, she saw rows of tanks, each one filled with a writhing, half-formed zombie. It was a nightmare come to life. She watched in horror as scientists moved between the tanks, injecting the zombies with some kind of serum. Lisa knew she had to act fast. She pulled out her camera, snapping photos of the lab, the tanks, the scientists. As she turned to leave, she heard a noise behind her. She froze, her heart in her throat. A scientist stood there, his eyes wide with surprise. Lisa's hand went to her gun, but she knew it was too late. The scientist lunged, and Lisa braced herself for the impact. But instead of attacking, he grabbed her, his grip like a vice. He dragged her back into the lab, and Lisa knew she was in deep shit. Back at our makeshift base, I was coordinating our efforts, keeping an eye on the hit list. The names and faces blurred together, each one a life hanging in the balance. I felt a sense of urgency, a desperate need to act. But I knew I had to be patient, to wait for Jake and Lisa to return with their findings. As the hours ticked by, I grew more and more anxious. Where were they? Had something gone wrong? I paced the room, my mind racing. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, that we were missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. Suddenly the laptop beeped, a new alert flashing on the screen. I leaned in, my eyes scanning the message. It was a hit, a high-value target, and the name sent a chill down my spine. It was Jake. I felt a surge of panic. Jake was in danger, and I had no idea where he was. I grabbed my gear, my mind racing. I had to find him, to warn him. But how? I had no idea where he had gone, no way to contact him. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to think. There had to be a way. I pulled up the hit list, my eyes scanning the details. The hit was scheduled for tonight, the location an abandoned warehouse in the financial district. It was a long shot, but it was all I had. I set out, my heart pounding. The streets were dark and deserted, the air thick with tension. I moved quickly, my eyes darting from shadow to shadow. As I approached the warehouse, I saw them. The zombies, their eyes glazed over, but their bodies strangely alert. I knew I had to act fast. I pulled out my gun, my hands shaking. I had to find Jake to warn him. But as I stepped into the warehouse, I knew I was too late. The zombies were already there, their eyes locked on their target. And Jake was nowhere to be seen. I moved quickly, my heart pounding. The warehouse was a maze of rusted machinery and decaying crates, the air thick with the stench of decay. I crept forward, my eyes scanning the shadows. I had to find Jake, to warn him. But where was he? Suddenly I heard a noise. A muffled cry. A struggle. I froze, my heart in my throat. It was coming from a dark corner of the warehouse, a place hidden from view. I moved silently, my gun at the ready. As I rounded the corner, I saw them, the zombies. Their eyes glazed over, but their bodies strangely alert. And there, in the middle of them, was Jake. He was bound and gagged, his eyes wide with terror. I felt a surge of relief, quickly followed by a wave of fear. How the hell was I supposed to get him out of there? I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. I had to act fast, to take out the zombies before they could hurt Jake. I raised my gun, my hands shaking, but as I took aim, I heard a noise behind me. I froze, my heart in my throat. A figure stepped out of the shadows. A gun pointed at my head. I turned slowly, my eyes meeting the cold, calculating gaze of a man I had never seen before. He was dressed in a suit, his hair slicked back. He looked like he belonged in a boardroom, not an abandoned warehouse. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice shaking. He smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "I'm the one who put out the hit on your friend. And now I'm afraid you're both going to die." I felt a surge of anger, a desperate need to fight back. But I knew I was outmatched, outgunned. I had to think fast, to find a way out of this mess. I looked at Jake, his eyes pleading. I had to save him, no matter what. The man in the suit stepped forward, his gun still pointed at my head. I could see the cold calculation in his eyes, the twisted pleasure he took in this sick game. I felt a surge of hatred, a desperate need to take him down. "Why are you doing this?" I demanded, my voice shaking. He smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "Money, power, control, the usual reasons. And besides, it's fun, watching the targets squirm, seeing the fear in their eyes. It's exhilarating." I felt a wave of nausea, a sickening realization. This man was a monster, a twisted sick fuck who got off on other people's pain. I had to stop him no matter what. I looked at Jake, his eyes pleading. I had to save him, to get him out of there. But how? I was outmatched, outgunned. I had to think fast, to find a way out of this mess. Suddenly I had an idea. I looked at the zombies, their eyes glazed over but their bodies strangely alert. They were being controlled, puppets on a string. If I could cut the strings, maybe I could save Jake. I turned to the man in the suit, my eyes meeting his. "You're sick," I spat. "You're a twisted, sick fuck, and I'm going to take you down." He laughed, a cold, cruel laugh. "You're going to die," he said, "and your friend is going to die, and there's nothing you can do about it." I felt a surge of anger, a desperate need to fight back. I raised my gun, my hands shaking, but as I took aim, I heard a noise behind me. I froze, my heart in my throat. A figure stepped out of the shadows. A gun pointed at the man in the suit. I turned slowly, my eyes meeting the determined gaze of Lisa. She was bruised and battered, but she was alive, and she was here to help. Lisa stepped forward, her gun still pointed at the man in the suit. I could see the determination in her eyes, the fierce resolve. She was here to fight, to take down the monster who had orchestrated this twisted game. "You're not going to get away with this," she said, her voice steady. The man in the suit laughed, a cold, cruel laugh. "You're too late," he said. "The hits are already in motion. There's nothing you can do to stop them." I felt a surge of desperation, a desperate need to act. We had to stop him, to dismantle the operation. But how? We were outmatched, outgunned. We had to think fast, to find a way out of this mess. Suddenly, I had an idea. I looked at the zombies, their eyes glazed over but their bodies strangely alert. They were being controlled, puppets on a string. If we could cut the strings, Maybe we could stop the hits. I turned to Lisa, my eyes meeting hers. We need to take out the control center, I said. If we can cut the strings, we can stop the zombies. She nodded, understanding dawning in her eyes. I know where it is, she said. I saw it in the lab. We can do this. We moved quickly, our hearts pounding. The man in the suit watched us, his eyes filled with cold calculation. He knew we were onto something, that we were a threat. But he underestimated us, underestimated our determination. We reached the control center, a room filled with computers and screens. The air was thick with the hum of machinery, the glow of the screens casting an eerie light. We moved quickly, our guns at the ready. As we took out the control center, the screens went dark, the hum of machinery fading away. We turned to the man in the suit, our guns pointed at his head. He looked at us, his eyes filled with cold calculation. But we could see the fear in his eyes, the realization that he was beaten. You're finished, I said, my voice steady. The hits are over. The operation is dismantled, and you're going to pay for what you've done. He laughed, a cold, cruel laugh. But we could see the fear in his eyes, the realization that he was beaten. We had won, and the nightmare was finally over. This is MM13 signing off. The fight continues. If you like today's tales, don't forget to like and subscribe MM13. Help MM13 get to 1,000 subscribers.